Hi, I'm Leslie Appling. I'm the Program Director of the Radiologic Technology program here at NCTC. So I wanted to go over the information session. This is something that any student can listen to at any point, especially when they're trying to get more information about our program. But we do have information sessions that you do have to attend, and they're normally in February or April when you are applying for the program. So this information session kind of goes over what to expect, how to apply for the program, the timeline for the program, the courses that are taken in the program, opportunities after the program's over. So it's kind of the whole from starting to the program once you graduate. So the program here at NCTC, it's a 60 semester credit hour program. So basically those 60 hours are going to be 40 of just the rad tech courses, and the other 20 are your prerequisite or co-requisites. So once you have those prereqs, co-reqs, and we'll get into those a little bit later, when you start the program, you start in the fall, and it's going to be a 5-semester program. So you'll go fall, spring, summer, fall, spring, and then you graduate. Once you graduate, you get an Associate of Applied Science. And when you graduate, the whole thing that we're trying to do is make sure that you pass your registry from the ART. So once you graduate, it says qualify for certification by American Registry of Radiologic Technologists as an RTR. So that's the whole thing that we're trying to do, is make sure that when you graduate, you take this national registry and you pass it to become a certified technologist. So that's the big thing. Graduation, yes, it's all good, but to become a registered and certified tech in the United States, you have to pass this exam from the ART, and you have to pass it with a 75 or above. So that's the whole thing that we're working for the 5 years in our program. Radiologic technologists practice under the supervision of a physician. They may perform basic radiographic duties independently or may assist physicians in more complex radiologic situations. So when it says practice under the supervision of a physician, basically that's where we get our orders from, is from a physician. We can't create or add any orders or decide, we need to do this certain exam. Basically, we get the requisition from the physician that says what we need to do. We need to do a 3-view hand or a 2-view chest. We do exactly what's on the paper. We don't add or create our own. So all of our orders, everything we do comes from a physician. It talks about performing duties independently or may assist physicians in more complex radiologic studies. So some things that people don't think about, what we do is we do fluoro exams, so fluoroscopy. That's basically x-rays in real time. So we are basically an assistant to the radiologist when we do these studies. Esophagograms, upper GIs, small bowel studies, barium enemas. Basically, we watch the barium or whatever contrast they decide to use go through the patient in real time. So like for an example, in upper GI, we watch the patient in real time swallow the barium, watch it go through the esophagus, into the stomach, how it goes through, how it coats the stomach, and how it goes out of the stomach. So we do that, and so fluoroscopy is one thing people don't think about, basically doing x-rays in real time. Another thing people don't really think about when they think about x-ray techs is surgery. That's a big thing. We go to surgery, we take our little C-arm and we go into surgery and we kind of wheel it in, wheel it out whenever the surgeon needs us. So that's something else that people don't really think about, is us going to surgery. Another thing we do in the hospital setting is do portable radiographs. Basically, if the patient was too sick to come down to the radiology department, we bring our portable machine up to the 9th floor. We take the x-rays in their room and then we get out of there. So that's some other things that we do that a lot of people just kind of don't think about. You know, with radiography, a lot of people think about bones, and that's a lot of it, but some other things we do is fluoroscopy studies, going to surgery, and doing portable exams. So that's some other things that we do as well. The average salary for a newly graduated radiologic technologist ranges from $40,000 to $65,000, depending on hours, benefits, and location. So this is all, you know, it's a really good time to get in our field right now. Was basically a burnout after COVID, so a lot of people right now are offering sign-on bonuses. So it's been a really good time to get into the field, but it does kind of depend where you work. Are you working in a clinic versus a big, busier hospital? Are you working days, nights, weekends, overnights? How much experience do you have? You know, if you're certified in another modality like CT or MRI, you're going to get paid more. So it just kind of depends where you work, what you're doing, your shift is, but salary is really good for newly graduated rad techs, $40,000 to $65,000. Employment may be in hospitals, outpatient clinics, surgery centers, doctors' offices, and other healthcare facilities where medical imaging is done. So that, you know, that's kind of the different places where you can work, but, you know, kind of want to say about, you know, newly graduated techs, I always kind of stress that you always just want to get a job whenever you graduate to get that experience under your belt. So even if it's not exactly where you want to work or the hours aren't the time that you want to work, you're getting that experience under your belt. And so once a shift opens that it's a daytime shift that you would want, you have that experience, you know, to be qualified for, you know, that shift. So that's always my big thing is once you graduate, get a job, get some experience, even though it might not be the perfect shift that you want for the rest of your life, that at least you'll have that experience to kind of get that daytime shift that you would want later down the road. Big thing that I always promote with our profession is the different pathways that you can take. I think a big thing about jobs is that people get stuck and they get bored and then they want to go do something else. So in our field, there's so many different pathways that you can take after you graduate. Kind of like I mentioned before, you can go on and get certified in another modality. You can do CT, MRI, mammography, radiation therapy, just to name a few. You can go on to get your bachelor's degree, and we recommend going to Midwestern State in Wichita Falls to get your BSRS, Bachelor's of Science in Radiologic Sciences. You can also go on to get your master's, your MSRS, Master's of Science in Radiologic Sciences, same thing from MSU. If you wanted to go on to teach radiography, if you wanted to be department manager, if you wanted to go on to be a radiology assistant, you can, you know, and all the things that kind of come with being a rad tech. You can work, you know, days, nights, weekends, hours, different hours. So just the big thing about this field, it just has so many different pathways. You don't have to get stuck. There's so many different things you could do. So our field is a really great field to get into. So our prereqs have to be done before the program starts in the fall. So our prereqs are A&P1, A&P2, Comp 1, and then college algebra or statistics. The co-reqs are going to be general psychology and then a humanity or fine arts elective. The co-reqs, they can be taken in the program, but we really do recommend to take those before the program starts, because when you get into the program, we do want all your focus to be on x-ray. So those are better to take before the program starts. And also too, if you take those prerequisites, you do get more priority points, and that goes into your application total points that we'll talk about in a little bit. But so really taking those co-reqs is going to be beneficial to you to take them before you get in the program, because they can contribute to your priority points, which is your overall total score to get in the program, and we'll talk about those in a little bit. So to apply to the program, the first thing you have to do is apply to NCTC. And then once you're accepted to NCTC, applying to NCTC, you can go to NCT's homepage, and then there's a button that says apply now, or you can go to NCTC admissions and also apply that way. So after you're accepted to NCTC, you get access to something called My NCTC, and that's where the application is going to be located. So when you log into My NCTC, on the left-hand side, there should be something that says Radiological Technology, and that's where the application would be. Applications are only opened in the spring semester. So those are kind of the tentative dates. It depends when the semester starts. But basically it's the first day of the spring semester through May 31st. So that's where the application is located. So the two big things that you have to do to apply to the program would be to take your TEAS test and to make sure you're taking those prereqs. So also, I do want to recommend the COREQs, but you do have to have the prereqs completed. So the TEAS test, basically the TEAS, I always kind of say it's like a mini ACT. Basically, it has 4 sections: math, science, reading, and English. We'll talk about it more specifically a little bit on the next page, but it has those 4 sections, and then it has your total score. So what we do is take your total score for the TEAS test and add it to your priority points. So we'll kind of get into all this in a minute, but this is going to be the TEAS. When you sign up to take the TEAS, you take the TEAS for allied health. So that's the type of TEAS that you take. So there's the 4 sections, and we take your total score. So that's what we're looking for, that total score for the TEAS. And then we add that to your priority points. So we'll get to that in a second. But here's about the TEAS. The TEAS may be taken twice in a calendar year. This is the prices now, but if you take it physically at school, it's $107. If you take it online, you can just take it at your house. They do have it proctored. It's $120. So there's a little bit more information about the TEAS. It says the TEAS is a total of 170 questions with 209 minutes for the total test time. So there's it broken down in those 4 sections, how many questions are going to be under each section. So that's the TEAS test, 209 minutes, 170 questions. You see how each section is broken up. So there's what you make on each section. That's what we're concerned about right there, is the total score. So that's going to be part of your application points right there. For the TEAS test, you can find more information about the TEAS test at atitesting.com. If you go on our web page as well, the homepage for Radiologic Technology at NCTC, Step 4 does give you a link to that ATI testing. Also on that, about the TEAS, if you look at their website, they do have some study materials that you can buy to kind of prep for the TEAS test, and so you can find all that information on atitesting.com. So that's one portion of the application that we take into consideration, is your total score for your TEAS test, and then we add that to priority points. So with the priority points, basically you can get a total of 12 priority points. So you have A and P 1 and 2, what you made in A and P 1 and 2. If you made an A, it's 3 points, a B, 2 points, a C was 1 point. So both of those for A and P 1 and 2. This says non-radiology curriculum coursework grade point average. So this is talking about your prereqs and coreqs. It doesn't matter any other classes you've taken. We're going to be looking at that 4 to 6 classes for that grade point average. So depending on when you turn in your application, have you taken all the 4 of those, or have you taken the other coreqs? So basically it's going to be your GPA from those 4 to 6 classes. If it's a 4.0, it's 3 points. A 3.5, it's 2 points. A 3.0, it's 1 point. And then how much of those 6 classes have you taken. If you've only taken 4 hours, it's 1 point, 10 hours, 2 points, 16 hours, 3 points. So the more classes you take, the better, priority points wise. So total you can get for priority points is 12. So basically what we do here is going to add your priority points to your total TEAS exam, and that's your total admissions points. So, for example, let's say you made, let's just kind of make that easy, you made an 80 on your TEAS. That was the total score of your TEAS. And then once I did the priority points, did all these, I have kind of a spreadsheet to calculate all these points. And so let's say you made an 80 on your TEAS and your priority points was 10. 80 plus 10 is 90. So that would be your total admission points. So that would be your total admission points. So the top 20 students, the top highest total admission points, would be accepted to the cohort. So as of now, we're taking about 20 students each year. So we go through all the applications, do the priority points, do the TEAS scores, add them up, total scores, go through all the applications, and the top 20 highest total admission points get into the program. So I will say for the fall of 2023, we did have 65 applicants and we took 20. So this is a really competitive program. This year we had 65 qualified applicants. Last year we had about 45, and the year before we had about 65. So it is a very competitive program. So the higher the priority points you have, the higher the TEAS scores, the more likely you would get into the program. I always say that a competitive TEAS score is around the total TEAS score is around a 70. And that's what I've usually kind of said. I do want to mention that everybody who got in the program for the fall of 2023 had a total admission score of 82 or higher. So it was pretty competitive. Scores were pretty high. So just kind of take that into consideration. That's what it was this year. I mean, it all depends on who applies, year after year, but that's kind of what it was this year. So the total admission points for the fall of 2023, all the top 20 who got in had the total score of 82 or higher. So we have the top 20 students get in, we do about 5 alternates, and then everybody else gets a decline letter. So that's really how the priority points work. This is going to be the program cost, and this is going to be just an estimate. All this stuff can change year after year depending on tuition and required fees, but this is kind of the overall estimate of what it is. Depending on where you live, your tuition is, if you're in district, so in district and state, it's $4,200. They have a partnership with Graham ISD, so it's $5,000. In state, $7,800, and out of state's $12,000. These numbers are going to be the total for the 5 semesters that you're in the program. So 42, so if you were in district for 5 semesters, fall, spring, summer, fall, spring is $4,200. That's pretty good for tuition. I do feel like NCTC is very affordable. And then here's the required fees, expenses that you have to pay during the program. So it just kind of depends on what semester these fees are required. So about $83 for a background check and drug screen, liability insurance, your film badges, markers, your clinical monitoring system called Prereqs that you'll use when you go to clinicals, TSRT, so Texas Society of Radiologic Technologists. Kettering is something, basically a registry review. Uniforms, shoes, lab coats, your physical, all the immunizations that you have to get. The ART exam that you take after you graduate is $225. Your books throughout the 5 semesters is about $1,100. Other registry review materials and the composites is a total of about $2,833. So That's pretty good. Putting everything together is about $6,000. About $6,000 for your associate degree of applied science is pretty good. Like I said, pretty affordable. NCTC is very affordable. And also too, we talk about different scholarship opportunities and different resources that are available to you in the program to kind of help you pay for those semesters as well. So once you get into the program, these are some things that you have to have. So you do have to have a physical examination form signed by a physician certifying that the applicant has been examined thoroughly. So basically the physical is just want to make sure that you're able to do this job safely. You do have to have CPR, and there are required immunizations that you have to have before you go to clinicals. COVID-19, Tdap, MMR, TB, varicella, and hepatitis B. Right now, all clinical sites are still requiring the COVID-19 vaccine minus one. One site has taken it off their requirements, but we kind of just go with the flow with that. All those immunizations are based upon what the clinical sites want and need. So all these immunizations, they have to be, hepatitis B takes 6 months, so that has to be started no later than September 10th because y'all start clinicals in March. So to be completed by the time you go to clinicals has to be started by September 10th. So we do want all these immunizations to be done and at least hepatitis B started by November 1st. So everything's basically good to go before you go to clinicals. Proof of major medical insurance coverage. So you do have to have your own medical insurance. We do have something called K-12. K-12 is something that it's a pretty cheap option for insurance if you don't have your own. So we offer just some paperwork on that if that's something you would be interested in. But you do have to have insurance before you go to clinicals. We do a drug test randomly before you go to clinicals and a criminal background check. So once you apply to the program, get accepted to the program, you get a letter of intent saying that you accept or decline your position. Once you accept your position, we start a background check. So a background check will be required of all students, but it's required after admission, and that would be done as part of the program. So we do a quick criminal background check. Also, too, if something pops up on your background check, we do make you do a pre-screen with ART. Basically, with ART, like we mentioned, that is where you take your national registry from. So when you apply to take your registry, they ask some ethics questions, and then, they basically have to do an ethics review. If you do check yes about, having a felony or a misdemeanor. So basically we do this criminal background check at the beginning of the program because we don't want you to waste your time for 5 months and then for some reason they wouldn't allow you to take the registry. When it comes to ethics review, they only deny about 2 or 3% of people who who apply for an ethics review. So they really aren't denying that many people, but we do just want to make sure that everything is good to go, and you're not wasting your time doing this program if you wouldn't be able to sit for the registry. This is just the outline of kind of what you take each semester. So the fall, you take intro, basic radiographic procedures, and patient care. The spring is going to be imaging 1, intermediate radiographic procedures, equipment, and practicum 1. So that's when you start clinicals. So you start school in the fall semester, you start in August, and then you start clinicals, you start going to clinical sites in March. So you start about midway through your first spring semester. And then in the summer, radiation biology, practicum 2, second fall, imaging 2, pathology, practicum 3, and then second semester, advanced medical imaging, seminar, and practicum 4. So once we start clinicals in March, you'll be in clinicals all the rest of the program. This is going to be an example of your schedule. So I'm not going to go into it too in depth, but basically the first semester you'll be on campus Monday through Wednesday. Monday 2 to 3:50. Tuesday you have patient care class from 8 to 9:50, and then patient care lab from 10 to 11:50. And then Wednesday you have basic radiographic procedures from 8 to 10:50, and then a lab after that. We do have 3 different labs, one on Tuesday, 2 on Wednesday, to divide the class up in basically 3 different sections. So first semester, first fall, you'll be on campus Monday through Wednesday. Second semester is the same. You'll be on campus Monday through Wednesday. And then you'll start practicum 1 after spring break. So you go to clinicals 16 hours a week. So really with clinicals, once clinicals starts in March, you'll be on campus Monday through Wednesday, and you'll go to clinicals Thursday and Friday. Maybe a Saturday in there, but that's pretty typical that clinicals will be Thursday and Friday. So once clinicals start in March, you'll have class from Monday through Wednesday on campus, and then you'll go to clinicals Thursday and Friday for 16 hours each week. So this summer, basically with our program, it's more heavily on classes at the beginning, and then towards the end, it's more heavily focused on clinicals. So in the summer, you only have 1 3-hour class. We meet on Mondays from 9 to 11:50, and then you're in clinicals the rest of the week. So you go to clinicals 30 to 32 hours. You can work 3 10-hour shifts or 4 8-hour shifts. It all depends on your clinical site. So basically you have a 3-hour class in the summer, and then you go to clinicals 30 to 32 hours a week. Second semester is pretty much the same. You come to class 1 day a week. You have class basically from 9 to 11, and then you're in clinicals the rest of the week, going 30 to 32 hours. And then the last semester, we only meet on campus 1 day a month for seminar, and we do mock registries, we do reviews, so we only come to class 1 day a month. And then the rest of the week is clinical, and you're really using that other time to study for the registry. So that's kind of a basic outline of the schedule of classes, and all classes are face-to-face. So for clinicals, it's about 12 months of hands-on experience, and we do have a lot of different clinical sites. These are constantly updating and changing, but as of now, these are our clinical sites in North Texas and Southern Oklahoma. So we have Envision Imaging in Frisco, Plano, and Southlake, Legion Surgery Center in Plano, and then the Orthopedic Hospital in Carrollton. We have Med City, Dallas, Denton, and Louisville. We have Mercy in Ardmore. We have Munster Hospital, Nocona Hospital, NTMC in Gainesville, Texas Health Presbyterian in Dallas and Denton, Wilson and Jones in Sherman, and Wise Health Hospital in Decatur, and a surgical center in Argyle. So those are our clinical sites as of fall of 2023. Those are changing sometimes we're adding different sites, but that's what they are right now. So with clinical sites, we don't let y'all decide what clinical sites you want to go to. What we kind of look at is where you live, because we don't want you driving too far to clinical sites, because, you know, if you're working 10 or 12-hour days and you have a huge drive, it just makes your day really long. So we try to work with you on where you live. What I see of you in the lab that I do with you, certain places are busier, they're more fast-paced, they're more intense. So I kind of look at how you're progressing in the laboratory setting and what students would fit best at each site. So me and Janice, she's a clinical coordinator, we come together and we kind of decide who goes where. Last thing I just want to mention, NCTC and the Radiologic Technology program are equal opportunity. with respect to admission and education of students, and with respect to students and faculty activities conducted on the premises owned or occupied by the college, is the policy of North Central Texas College not to discriminate on the basis of race, color, national origin, gender, religion, age, or disability in employment or the provision of services. So basically, and like I said, for our application, we do the, the priority points plus the T-scores, and then whoever has the highest scores gets in. Doesn't matter your age, gender, etc. So that's kind of how our program works. So if you do have any questions, you can contact the radiology department assistant. Her name's Barbara Quinlan. So there's her email, bquinlan@nctc.edu, or you can contact me, the program director, Leslie Appling. My email is lappling@nctc.edu.